Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this other edition of Prime R on My Media Prime. We this year are going to be looking at the 2020-2021 edition of the GCE results that were released last week, with many students reported committing suicide because they could not take the fact that they failed. We're going to be looking at the overall percentage. We look at the conditions under which the students are prepared for these examinations across the nation. We also are going to consider the conditions under which the trainers, I'm talking about the teachers, actually took time off to prepare the students for the exams. But also we are going to be looking at how prepared they are, the successful candidates, how prepared they are to face another level of their educational career. Most of them have passed the advanced level. Are they prepared for university in Cameroon? We are discussing this with panelists who are there already. We are in the company of Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. He's an educationist. We're glad to have you.
Oh, thank you very much. Very great topic. While we'll be discussing those topics, I'll be concentrating more on looking at how we can make that system better and then show the young people the path into the future and probably call their attention to some mistakes we've been making for 60 years. Okay.
But just to note that tomorrow we are also going to be looking at our educational system. Okay. Prime I is still going to focus on that and how we're going to be looking at how to make it better. We also are in the company of Apostle and Valentine Gua. Good evening, he is a consultant.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, my co-panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians, and welcome to Prime Hour. God bless you all.
We also are in the company of Sama Abba Mungwa. He is a teacher, and yes, he also took part in preparing the students for this year's examination. He's going to be telling us their experience out there working in the Southwest region. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you, Leo. I'm glad to be here once again.
Okay. We also are in the company of Mr. Aka Alucius Tazi. He is an expert on maritime issues. We're glad to have you.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Leo, and we thank the Member Prime House for giving us this opportunity. The educational system in Cameroon is such that we have to handle with a lot of care, otherwise we'll be surprised. It can spark another revolution that will be worse than what we have the Northwest and Southwest today, because there's a lot of pressure mounting on parents, teachers, and pupils and students. So
pressure is mounting on parents?
Parents, teachers, and students. The educational system is mounting a lot of pressure. Parents, teachers, and students. So we have to handle this issue of education in Cameroon with a lot of care.
Mr. Sama, you are the teacher. You prepare the students for these exams. Were you satisfied with the outcome of the students you prepared?
As a teacher, Leo, satisfaction may really not be my measure. The results are out, and I think that the results are a reflection of the level of preparedness of each and every candidate. You indicated earlier that I happen to be a teacher in the troubled Southwest region, specifically Buea, where we are in another world on its own, in the Northwest and the Southwest, different from our colleagues and our students in the other 8 regions. We don't work on Mondays. Nobody's ignorant of that fact anymore for the past 4 or 5 years. Teachers, like other workers and other professionals, don't go to work on Mondays, and so our work time is cut down. And even when we improvised and thought we could make do with Saturdays, and embargo was like placed on us by our titular minister, Saturday classes were banned, Sunday classes too were outrightly banned, which means that students, particularly those in day schools, have a shorter period of studies, and you wouldn't have expected them to perform miracle and measure up to the same quality and quantity of results that we found in the other 8 regions. I will take the 2 outstanding cases without publicity, good enough. They are all public schools. Government Bilingual High School, a Tugebe, with the first 5 students with 5 papers scoring 25 points. Government Bilingual High School, Bafusam, the first 5 papers, the first 6 with 25 points as well. But if you come to the core or the fountain of the GCE exams, which is the Northwest and the Southwest, you would find a handful of some dotted outstanding results. And so, like a teacher in that part of the country, I am not satisfied, because I think that my students did not measure up as to their capabilities because of situations out of their control. And it is our wish, it is our prayer that things get better this year as we prepare to kickstart another academic year.
Dr. Nick Ngwanyang, surprisingly, the best results are coming from Yaoundé and Bafoussam for the GCE results.
No, those are borrowed results. They are not their results. These are the students who were supposed to be in the Northwest and Southwest region studying in the best conditions, that probably moved at the last minute and then tried to fight it out under very difficult conditions. And so we cannot expect the results of 2021 to be as good as what we used to have in 2015 because of all the problems that Mr. Summer has highlighted. We all know how difficult it is. So in fact, I would like to congratulate all the teachers and the students who try to make it happen, because when you go like to the Northwest, I mean in the hinterland there's actually nothing happening, and you just have, even when you come to Bamenda, the regional capital, it's only in up in the station and then a few dotted here and there, but you wouldn't say that the schools are running as they ought to. So for those of them who braved it in that environment and came up with those good results, teachers and students alike, I would sincerely like to congratulate them and to say that they did their best. It's not their fault. The fault is that of the adults who have refused to solve the problem.
It's not their fault. Apostle Ambe Valentine, you following up?
Of course, Mr.
Tides are changing, eh?
Of course. I'm sure we have 8 hours per day in school, and we have 40 hours per week for students to study. If at all 8 hours on Mondays have been reduced, then we have 32 hours per week for students to study. If children could study for 40 hours per week and still couldn't do well, reducing the amount of hours per week, because your input is based on the amount of hours that are given to you. If at all the children have the 32 hours per week instead of 40 hours. We went to school in those very regions when things were very smooth. We're given 40 hours per week to study, and sometimes when you study within 40 hours a week, some children still fail. Then talk less of children studying 32 hours a week, which is very complicated. Number 2, teachers are not even available to deliver lectures because teachers are afraid because of the things that happened in the past. Teachers have been kidnapped, others have been killed, principals have been hacked. And if you look at it critically, everybody is afraid. It means children were forced to study by themselves at home. And you know very well that every time you're studying with that guide, like a teacher being close to you, there are places if you get stuck, because the teacher is there to make you or make the subject simpler to you. But sometimes it gets frustrating when children stay at home and they study by themselves. So if children are scoring in a Tukebe and scoring in Bafoussam, it's just like a Cameroonian doing well in America. Yes, you change location, but you are still a Cameroonian. So it's Northwest students who are doing well in Bafoussam. So I wish children didn't know Yaoundé. Which, if at all things were okay, the results would have gotten. Now let us go back to 2012, 2011, 2010. If you look at the results of GCE ordinary and advanced level, the statistics has always proven that beyond reasonable doubt, these two regions have produced the best results. We've gotten results from schools like Sase without any publicity, Lords, BGS Moliko, and other schools. You get very outstanding results from those institutions. It's like almost every renowned name within these regions has become, how do I say, a toothless bulldog that cannot even back. It's so bad. That's to let you understand that the war has affected the students' education as well as their psychology severely. Even the ones who struggle to stay at home, if at all you pass in the north and the southwest, kudos to you. We appreciate your effort for doing that alone, because we did not see the teachers who were there to get the job done.
Mr. Tazi, you live in Boya. Can you also understand that it was not easy, the study atmosphere, because he's raising the issue that the arts were reduced to.
Yes.
Yeah, but you also understand that there were days that maybe they will say today's a ghost town and
A lockdown,
and people will still not go to school.
Yes, Mr. Liu, it is true I live in Boya, but you know, Boya in the southwest is about the safest place to live in. And so if in Boya, which is supposed to be the safest place, things. I remember this very GCE. I think it was the first or second day of the practicals. Something break out in Monya, and students who had to go for their physics, chemistry, biology practicals could not move up to lycée. I mean, that is supposed to be the safest place. If you talk about, as Dr. Nick said, about the suburbs, where schools are almost not going. So I will start by saying we do congratulate, I personally do congratulate the students who managed to pass. I also congratulate the teachers that took the courage, because at the end of the day, it's very risky being a teacher. I remember talking to a few of them who had to change their professions on their IDs, because it's like you go to catch and keep your ID up and cut it's very bad. So like teachers that are very prestigious, it's a very prestigious career to be a teacher. They have begun hiding, and everybody understands. So for them to have managed and produce the results, as he said, Sasama said, you may not be very satisfied as a teacher, but I think that you did a good job compared to the situation on the ground and the students.
Thank you.
So our wish is that the stakeholders, those who really matter in this situation, to try to sit down, take stock of the situation, and resolve the crisis in North and South, so that life can return to normal, because actually these results do not reflect our system of education. This is my take.
Yeah. Okay, but let's look at Mr. Sama. What is the percentage of those who actually took these exams for the 8 regions and those in the Northwest region? Do we realize that many more persons are now operating from within the French-speaking part of Cameroon?
Leo, let me tender this apology to our audience that I dropped a request at the office of the GCE board yesterday, requesting for credible statistics. Unfortunately, when I stopped by there today, before moving over, the information I requested for was not ready, and so I really would not want to delve into speculation without the concrete data. But from superficial observation, you would find an entire division like Momo division, which happens to be my division of origin. There was no candidate from Widikum subdivision. There was no candidate from Njikwa subdivision. There was no candidate from Ngi, from Batibo subdivision, which is my subdivision. There was one candidate from Ngi subdivision, and about 30-something candidates from Mbengui. That is the picture. That is the green picture that we are talking about. I am giving you the case of Momo division as a whole.
An entire
division from Mbengui.
Yes.
And Ngi, I saw GTC Tezengi with one candidate. I don't know how that candidate registered, where he met the administration of the school to even register. And that is just one. Take the case of Buit division, which is a highly volatile division in the Northwest. I wonder whether there was any candidate from about 4 or 5 of the subdivisions that make up Buit division, apart from Oku and maybe Jakiri.
No, Jakiri is
no, Jakiri is
before Kumbo. Yeah.
Fine. Look at Ngokitunja. Just as Dr. Nick said, apart from a few schools in central Bamenda, where you could have some candidates, and I think Dongamantu, that should give you a picture of what we mean. It's quite dismal. I remember in the 80s and 90s when they used to still present GCE results on radio. There are 5 regions, provinces in this country that when they get to their schools, Lycée Bilingue the Ngaoundéré registered 4, SAT 4, pass not 0%. They go to Lycée Bilingue Garoua, Marwa, Eboloa, and Betwa. But look at the statistics from those schools now. That a school like Lycée Bilingue Ngaoundéré would send in about 200 or something for the advanced level, and almost 300 at the ordinary level. It tells you the migration trends and how the children have moved now from our regions where they cannot register, they cannot study, they cannot be taught, they cannot sit for the exams, into the other areas. Another trend that I noticed, which doesn't baffle me though, but which is indicative of the situation in which we are living. Douala alone for the past 3 years has had over 119 new schools. New schools. I even saw one, Susanna Bilingual Lokpom and Susanna Bilingual Bonaberi, which is similarly an annex of another one. The ease with which it is to create schools now in the other regions to take the frustrated, fine, because the students have been forced to move. I mean, Yaoundé, Bafoussam, and Douala. I even saw one without publicity, Timi Evuna Academic Institute. I don't know whether it has anything to do with the other person that we know, but it tells you how the school economy has moved from the Northwest and the Southwest to the other regions, and how the students too have had to move.
Yeah, but this is very indicative of a major loss from our 2 regions, Dr. Nick.
Well, you have to define what you mean by loss. Do you mean economic?
He's talking about school economy.
Yes, I understand. I understand. Well, it's a loss. It's a loss in the sense that the schools that used to be on the only source of the only industry, so to speak, in the Northwest and Southwest, those ones have been lost, so to speak. But even then, I would say that after the war, which will end soon, with our dialogue, reconciliation, and unity. It sounds like a song now. There's going to be reconstruction, and we are going to be redoing everything, and the school systems will be changed, and we're going to put in something new, because for us, even in Cameroon, to get everything right, we must copy from Israel, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, and Finland. Because, like I've said many times ago, look, watch me, what we've been doing for 60 years, we've been wasting about 80% of our resources in education. Probably this gives us an education to look very critically at what we have been doing, and then correct our marching steps and fall in step with nations that do well. I'm saying it again, that what we even have been calling education has not been education, and we need to redefine that.
Yeah, but Dr. Nick, these schools have been created, it says close to 100 schools have been modern. Within Douala, imagine what is happening in Yaoundé. Are you saying that these schools are going to...
No. Listen, it's true. What he's saying is true. The economy has moved from West Cameroon to East Cameroon. Great, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, yes, the children are going to school. They are doing well, but we shouldn't lose sight of that. Our concern is about the children who cannot come to East Cameroon and are languishing over there. And I don't care very much about those that are here. Those that are here, they're IDPs and they're barely just perching. And the sooner we get the conditions right on the ground, three-quarters of them are going to move back into their comfort zones. And I'm saying that by the time they are moving back to their comfort zones, as we are rebuilding the torn down buildings and the burnt buildings and the burnt benches, we should be repairing the curriculum, upgrading the teachers, upgrading the laboratories, but we're not going to go back to the old shit.
Okay. When we get the figures as presented by Mr. Sama, it's true we may have the feeling that most have come this way, but we must also understand that many have not had the opportunity to move, to say that we have lots and lots of the younger ones in the Northwest and Southwest region who cannot go to school. How do you imagine that Momo Division registers less than 100 candidates?
That is because people are not even there to register. That explains further the level of migration that has taken place. It tells us the number of refugees we have. It tells the number of IDPs we have. It tells that individuals are not even in those areas to go to school anymore. It is a very bad situation. No matter how
in school, even if you were there in Momo, would you go to school?
That's why I'm letting you understand that even the resource persons we have in the North and the South as teachers, they have moved over here because hunger will not kill a teacher because he doesn't have a school to teach. He will take his intelligence and migrate to an area where he can have a school to teach. Most of our best teachers we used to hear in Northwest and Southwest, they are in Douala. I know many of them who have moved over here. They are teaching in schools here. Will he stay there where there's no school and die of hunger? He will not. So we are not talking about students. We are even talking of teachers, competent teachers who used to give us the results over there. They are no longer there except the government teachers who are there, and because they are earning salaries that they are not working. I'm talking about competent private teachers who knew how to deliver the results. They had no schools there to teach. What will they do? They will migrate. So not just today migrating, teachers are equally migrating because the conditions there are very deplorable. Very, very bad. In the whole of that Momo division, we are talking of 37 children, one from the 36 from Bengui. What are you talking about? A place that if you look at the population, if Momo division does not have population, you have kind of 1 million people. The whole of Momo division, 500,000 people, and then 37,000. How do you calculate the ratio? Not even a tenth. Not even a tenth. That is to tell you that people do no longer live in those areas anymore. People don't live there anymore. People are migrated. As a matter of fact, we are talking about if we have to go back there, the infrastructures constructed here, will they transport them? Will they transport those giant structures that are raising here? Most English universities and professional schools have moved over to Douala and they are raising up structures here. They are raising structures, children are migrating here, parents are building houses here. I know of a school that has transported the same to Yaoundé, bought hectares of land and constructed a whole campus, transported their peoples and their bosses.
People are getting involved in new activities this way.
Of course, and some are even getting married, which will not let them go back. So they will not transport one PSS back by car to Northwest. We will not carry one Susanna Balingua School again on a pickup to Buya back. It's remaining here. Even if we are going to do something, we are going to do something over there as an attachment because much has been invested here.
Annex.
Of course.
Annex, yeah.
Yes, of course, the annex in Akonolinga.
Excuse me, let me just add to what Apostle Ambi just said. An experience that almost killed the Anglophone in me. I went to Yaoundé sometime last year and went to visit a friend who happens to be a principal in one of those popular Anglo-Saxon schools in Netugebe there. And he took me around and showed me the investments they have made during this period of this crisis. And showed me a foundation that had just been constructed. And listen to what he said. My proprietress is just praying that this crisis should continue for the next 3 years so that I can raise that other part. That's the sad reality. It would embarrass you to know that the owner of that institution is an Anglophone. And the principal who was telling me is an Anglophone. That my proprietor is just praying that this crisis should continue for the next 3 years so that she can raise that other structure. And when we met at the marking center this year, because they were marking in Boya, I was marking in Limbe, but I was shortly. I started with him. I sat with him and I asked him, have you progressed? That's all. Say yes. Last year. You see how somebody can pray that misfortune in one area should persist so that they achieve. And unfortunately, happens to be our own system.
They will transfer the buildings back to South.
Fine.
It's really a shame.
Yeah. Economically, a lot is going on. Yes, economically, because imagine the thousands of students who now will have to be studying this way, the huge investments that are going on this way, and because children, their parents will vow that my child must go to school.
Must go to school.
Yeah,
must go to school.
Mr. Leo, I think before I come to what you just said, I will speak up from Dr. Nick. You see, I'm not a person where when the situation is as bad as it is now, I want to look at it and what can we pick as a good thing out of this situation. It's the war has devastated the northern and southwest. We have moved, people are building. So let's assume a hypothetical situation where the war is finished now and we have to move back. Should we move back? What are we taking back? I think it is an opportunity for us to garbage our educational system and move back like the Japanese moved out of the Second World War. Like Dr. Nick said, move back with a completely new curriculum from nursery to university. So that as we are rebuilding, as whatever thing we are doing, because at the end of the day, you realize that I read something that you wrote somewhere about jobless graduates in Cameroon. We don't want to move back again and start training people who come out tomorrow and be jobless.
Yeah, but the educational system is not just for Anglophones. It's a system that is set for the entire nation.
For now, Mr. Leo, we are supposed to have what is supposed to be an Anglo-Saxon system of education. In the Northwest and Southwest, I don't know how.
But this system of education is defined at the level of the ministry in Yaoundé, which applies nationally.
That's why I say we are supposed to. I don't know how it is actually done, but what I'm saying is that that's the first thing I want to take on that.
Okay.
As we are thinking of whenever the war ends up moving back, let's be working on the ground. I hope the stakeholders realize that our educational system has failed us. So that by the time we are moving back, we don't move back with the very educational system of producing jobless graduates. To come back to the economic question that you ask, my professor just mentioned, I want to say that some of those skyscrapers might end up housing lizards.
Poultry farms.
Yes, poultry farm. That's why I like that, because in as much as we think that people may make such sarcastic statements that they are praying that people should continue to die so they can make money, I know that there's nothing that does not have an end. This thing will end one day, and when it ends, it is true, as Apostle said, not everybody will go back. There are people who have invested heavily, they will have to stay behind, but there are still people who will move back. And even if not moving back, you may live to relocate from Yaoundé to another place. So most of those buildings that people are building, I think they don't have a lot of foresight. They think that these crises have come to stay. If you read, that your friend's proprietress raised that house, and in 3 years, as she's praying for, the war continues for the next 3 years. God listens to our prayer, and the war continues for the next 3 years. And after 3 years, the war ends and people move away. Who is she going to keep in those buildings?
Yeah, but we must also understand that people go to the Northwest and Southwest because they want to get Anglo-Saxon education.
Yes.
And if they can get it this way, whether we like it or not, there are many Francophones, because most of those schools are populated by Francophones. That is that not also why we want to get the annex of Akonolinga in of the University of Boya? Akonolinga.
That's what I was talking about. Yes. What they used to cross over there to look for is at their disposal. What are they coming there to do anymore? What do they come there to look for? And besides, for your information, even if things get better in the north and the southwest, there are persons who have invested here, and not just invested. Their children have become accustomed to the culture of this environment that it will be difficult for them to go back and adapt with what is happening over there. Let us lay emphasis on the casualties caused by this war, on the education, economically, socially, psychologically, and otherwise, in order to make our brothers understand that we are suffering the casualties and we are the ones losing our lives as far as this thing is concerned. If this migration of Anglophones into this region of the country is a great loss, whether we accept it or not. There are persons who have erected institutions here that even if there are no schools tomorrow, business is this way. They will turn those structures into houses where they can. A school can be turned into a studio, and people will stay there. It's not the issue of whether it remains a school or doesn't remain a school. The problem is how much are we losing at the moment in terms of human resource, in terms of financial resource, in terms of infrastructure. Let this thing come to an end so that we don't keep on losing. As a matter of fact, people are not on television to hear what we say for entertainment. We are here to reveal what people may not know and to unravel mysteries that they may be blind about. Look at what Mr. Sama has analyzed this evening. It's something that should give you goose pimples on your body.
But less than 100 students.
37 children in Momo division.
37.
This is unbelievable.
Yes.
It should cause someone to cry.
Leo, we are talking about GCE 2021, and we are at the doorsteps of another academic year. And do not be surprised that next year we may come here and the situation wouldn't have changed on the ground.
Get worse.
As I speak, apart from some effort, some lean effort, I should say, that the alumni of PHS Batbo have been struggling to do, that they want to go and renovate their alma mater and see, but generally cutting across, if by September the 6th, which is still tentatively the reopening date, I still do not see any school reopening in Batibo, which means that the GCE situation for 2022 will not be very different.
Maybe worse.
Now, I think, again, let me come back to what Dr. Nick said here, and which Mr. Tazitu said. I think, in as much as we know our worth and we know the quality of results that the Northwest and the Southwest have always produced before 2016, and what is happening now is like some eyesore of what we used to know. I think I should hail the minister, my minister for secondary education, because the situation would have been worse if she didn't introduce the online learning platform. Now, you might ask that, but what proportion or what percentage of the candidates benefited from that? But I think that a reasonable number, or at least even just one candidate, for her to have invested so much to make sure that lessons were made available online, so that even like in the Northwest or in Boya, students who cannot go to school, even from the comfort of your home or the safety of your home, you have access to the study material for all your subjects. I think that it, in view of 2022, that could be a way out for students or candidates in those difficult zones, so that where your teachers cannot come, where the schools have been brought, or where you can't even go out to study, make use of those online platforms. Another issue, another trend that I observed in the exam this year is the ease with which the GCE board granted GCE centers. GCE centers to so many of those schools that cropped up like mushrooms. I know what it takes to create a school, and I know what it takes to obtain an exam center from the board. There are two important documents that we must show: authorization to create and authorization to like function. With the so many schools that litter Bonaberi, there's so many schools that we know litter Bepanda, that Douala Metropolis alone can be talking of over 120 new schools with centers. I also look at it from some
shifting the centers this way,
so that it becomes again. I don't know whether it was like some form of administrative tolerance. Leo, you would bear with me that for the past 3 years, in as much as the Minister for Secondary Education counsel with a list of clandestine schools, no effort has been made to close down any school. And so I've always been an opponent of administrative tolerance. I always believe that where the law has to act, let it act. But tacitly, the authorities have allowed those schools to proliferate, to like crop up in order to solve the social problems that we have, so that the school should exist. Even you can have one in front of your house, you have one behind your house, you have one in your bedroom. Let the students go to school. I think that this should be a pointer to those who call the shots as far as this Anglophone war, not crisis, is concerned. The students want to go to school.
There was an attack.
Can we make it possible for them for the schools to function even in the Northwest, in those areas that are safe zones? Can we allow the schools to go? Because we should be able to look at the fact that we are shooting ourselves on the heels by waging a war, and our own children move across with the economic migration that it entails. Leo, I really find it difficult putting it through, but it's a very difficult situation.
Let me take this message, which is funny. Michael is writing from Yaoundé, which says, Michael is writing from Lagos, Nigeria. He says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, to me, I think if we are moving back, you should start with my media prime to either Boya or Bamenda. That is when some of us, the IDPs, can move. I don't know any TV station from the Northwest or Southwest, so let's start with the TV stations that are in the French zone, not only schools moving back. My humble opinion. It was a questionnaire. We have not asked any school to move back that way. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Permit me sound my voice on view of our protracted payment of our secretariat work yet to be received. It is surprising that though the mounted pressure to be snappy with the work for results to be released earlier, and the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. as well as Sunday to Sunday working format, we the secretariat workers are still skeptical of what could be the scheming reason why the GCE board is still keeping our money. Thanks, Metam Augustine, writing from Boya. So GCE board, please pay their money. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Yes, because the results came quickly because
they put the papers on workers to mark.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Leo. My special greetings to our people in the studio. Mr. Leo, what our guys in the studio are saying is true, because a policeman in Bamenda told me he's praying that the war should continue because what he has achieved, he couldn't have achieved that if there was no war because of money. They are taking from drivers. Okay, Stefan is writing from Bonaberry. UB Boya is annex. How can we annex an annex? Mr. Fai Asa is writing. Very good evening to you. Good evening to you all at the studio. There is an issue when it comes to school and GCE results. I am a student of BGS Moliko. We had 937 registered and 508 passed, giving 68%. Despite all the war and lockdown, we had 68%, but some schools in the Tural and Center could not have such a percentage. This means our schools here could have done better if there wasn't any struggle. Randy is writing from Boya. Yes, he is a teacher in BGS. I'm sure you know him, Mr. Sama. Good evening to the crew. Dr. Nick, are we dreaming? He speaks as if normalcy is tomorrow. The bad fate is the 60 years not yet washed away. Manel Kim is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo. We congratulate the students who made in the GCE exams. Many passed without a good combination of subjects to study, either in high school or in the university. Very funny that teachers have to disguise in dressing so as to hide identity. Students dress in assorted wear. All of these have a negative effect on the students' performance. Alex is writing from Boya. Yes, to note that the even those who managed to study in some remote areas, these were the conditions. A teacher disguises to go and teach. How well were the students prepared?
No, it's not just only in remote areas. All of West Cameroon is like that. You know, even those studying in Bamenda, there were no uniforms, and therefore, and so there is you are going to class, and there's this psychological burden on you. You are not relaxed. You can't go out and play, go do whatever you used to do, and feel relaxed like a student. You're going to school and you are not. You're not yourself. You're coming back. You're not yourself. The teacher is talking. You're not yourself.
The teachers themselves.
Yes. It was not the best. It's not the best. They were not under the best conditions for studies. So we continue to congratulate those of them who had the courage, the teachers and the students and the parents, to be able to go through that and get what they have gotten.
Yeah, but looking at the figures he cited earlier on, that Momo division had just this number. I'm sure if you were to go to Manu, if you were to go to Manu, the situation would not be too rosy. You go to Menchum, the same, and but this has very telling implications for the future, because every year students are expected to succeed in the advanced level so that they can get into universities and then also take part in some national concours. And why not go abroad for further studies?
That's right. You were saying that tomorrow we'll be discussing something about the changes in education and so on. And while you are citing concours and so on, I will still continue to say that concours is not the way. Being a civil servant is not the way.
Yeah, but before we get to what you are talking about, the concours are there.
No, the concours are there. It's true, and the concours are there, and we need a fair share of our concours. But what I'm trying to take out of the mind of parents, of teachers, of government, is that we have 300 to 350 civil servants, and the civil service already clocked. And it's time for all of us, everybody included, to be looking after also out of the box to try to solve that problem. We need to solve that problem today, not tomorrow. And it's important for us to stop this war in the next 6 months if we don't want to sink. And this war and this foolishness must stop in the next 6 months. And you and I were looking in the crystal ball before I came, and I can tell you it's going to stop within 6 months. We have to stop it and start rebuilding, because what we're calling rebuilding whatever now is not working. We have to actually rebuild the way it's supposed to be done and make sure that everything is done according to principles and international standards. We have no time to be wasting and beating
6
around
months.
the bush.
You're talking about 6 months. 6 months should be February or
the war will stop and reconstruction will start.
Let's hope so.
Lou, if I look at the topic that we have on the screen, we are talking of GCE 2021 results. What are the gains and the losses and the perspectives? First and foremost, the first gain that we have is there was an increase in the number of candidates in the Northwest and the Southwest compared to 2020. There was an increase. There was an increase in the national percentages as well, because many more students, many more parents took upon themselves to send their children to the safer zones for schools. So, and I'm sure that is why there was an improvement in the quality of the results, and in terms of numbers too, compared to last year. Another gain that I would pick out is the message that it sends. It sends a message that many more children want to go to school, and the situation on the ground should be made much more conducive for the children. Another thing I notice is, if we keep the Northwest and the Southwest volatile again for one more year, many more of those children would migrate. So the trend of migration would still be observed, and it would increase. Another gain, Leo, is again, as I said, the message that it sends. something has to be done. And permit me say that GCE 2021 results tell us that the no school campaign is obsolete, and we should listen to the voice of the students and their parents and see what we can do to open up the field in the northwest and the southwest so that children can go back to school.
Yes, you have highlighted the losses. Don't know the gains. Yes, can you paint a picture of the losses?
Yes. We have lost so many things. I mean, I repeat, and we may not have the whole day here to point them out. First and foremost, we have lost infrastructures. The schools burnt down, and the schools have migrated to construct here. It's a great loss to the two regions of the country, because regions of each particular country develop through infrastructure, which is one of the measures of growth. We have lost structures from there. Secondly, our best brains in the form of human resource teachers, they have moved over this way, and some have come and seen some things that might never take them back over there. Yes, opportunities they may see here might never take them back over there. We've lost such human resource. The next thing we've lost also, we've lost that, how do I put it, that
Anglo-Saxonness.
Yes, that uniqueness in our Anglo-Saxon culture in our education.
It has been exported here.
It has been exported here and diluted. And then that passion for children to go to school, there are children that we are going to fast and pray for them to have that desire to go to school again, because they are psychologically traumatized and their mindsets concerning school have been damaged.
Apostle, please just give me 1 second. We are talking about 2016 and 5 years. A child who had just completed primary school and was supposed to enroll in college and should have been writing GCE now. That child is already a man in the village, or a woman, or a wife in the village.
Oh, they haven't given birth.
That is a generation that we have lost. That is an entire generation of children that we have lost. Leo, as in my psychology lessons, one of the things I learned about education is that it must not necessarily give you a job. The power of education is the humanizing effect. That education changes you from the animal that you are born into a human being. And when you have people who have missed that opportunity to study, they remain animals. You know, the insecurity situation, whether the present generation of Amber Crisis ends, the insecurity situation that awaits us in the future because of these children who don't go to school, who have missed, not by any fault of theirs, who have missed the opportunity to be educated. It's one that I am afraid to imagine.
Yeah, but some people say it's also they say casualty of war. But can we not minimize it?
Why can't you minimize it? Is it are we the first person to ever go through a situation like this? We always have to take lessons from other countries that have gone through challenges like this. South Africa did not suffer this level of damages in the educational sector during apartheid. We were supposed to have gone down memory lane and studied from other communities. Afghan, Syria, Yemen, there are places that have had severe war, more critical than ours. The children did not stop going to school. And now look at the number of persons that have joined the Amber because they were not given the chance to go to school. Do you think that all the boys in the bushes are poor, wanted to go to the bush? Sometimes frustration.
Idleness too.
Idleness. The Englishman says an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Push them tomorrow to pick guns and enter into the bushes. Now, what are we communicating? What are we talking here? The casualties and the damages are too many that if we want to enumerate them here, we will not have the whole day to enumerate them. Another aspect of damage that we have had is that people who did not have the opportunity to migrate their children to other areas have been stuck. Yes, it looks like it is the war is for the poor man. The poor man is a man facing the casualties. The rich man has flown the child out of the country. They have brought their children this way. What about the man that cannot transport the child from Bamenda, from Momo Division to Douala? What happens to them? Buildings are getting rotten away. How do we go to start doing reconstruction? What did we first of all construct that we want to reconstruct? The money we are supposed to use to reconstruct, is that no money we are supposed to have used to advance other places in the country that are not yet developed? There are places in the north that do not have roads. Bengue doesn't have roads. Batigo does not have good roads. Where rain falls,
some guys wrote to me from Donga Mountain Division. They were digging. They were creating a road, actually digging the road.
Why would they take money that was supposed to have used to tie a new road to go and reconstruct a broken, burned down building? How much do you people have? You keep borrowing money and you are not making use of the money you keep borrowing. Are they going to be reconstructing or constructing new things?
Okay, no, let's hear Mr. Dr. Tata is online. Dr. Tata, a very shocking revelations presented here by Mr. Sama, who is a teacher in the Southwest region, to say that the station is not really good back in two conflict-stricken regions of the Southwest and Northwest. Hello, Doctor. It's not there. Yeah, the situation is. Yeah, I myself.
Mr. Leo, you know, it's honestly it's very frustrating because you see something that a problem that can be solved, and we begin to, for some reasons, joke with it, and the consequences are becoming serious every day. Generations are being lost. Okay, people are dying every day, and we cannot do anything about it. And there's something about this thing. We should learn from other areas. We must end up sitting on the table, whether we like it or not. That's the only way out of such crisis. Except we're going to Cameroon is going to invent its own way. Humanity has a trend of how people go to this crisis.
But what you are saying is ending the crisis. But what Sama and Apostle are saying is that while you are doing your politicking, why not spare the children? Because a school was burnt in Limbe yesterday. That's cool.
Today, I think so.
Yeah.
Mr. Leo,
yes.
Mr. Leo, there's something you should understand. In anarchy, you cannot control. There are a lot of factors that you cannot control. Even when they say kidnappings today, there are different groups that are kidnapping people that you don't know them. These guys are not. They don't have a regular organization that you can control. So what I'm saying is that one person could have taken the action and burned down that school when it is gone to. So what I'm saying is that the solution for this thing is that let's find a way and stop this thing. Let's return the situation to normal. You can say that let the war be going on, and let me tell you, life will never be normal in the Northwest and Southwest, and people will never go to school normally with this war going on. No matter how we try to say let's allow the school, if everything like what happens in Monya. After 6 months, 3 months, or something, then suddenly the month people are going to GCE, they start shooting and children don't go for practical. Who planned that? So you see, at the end of the day, there's no way that you tell people that we should stop, we should allow people to go to school and the war should continue. I don't think that works. I think the only way for life to return to normal is that this war should stop.
Yeah. So what I forget what you're saying. It means if both sides refuse to hearken to your call for the next 30 years, children should not go to school.
I am not saying that. I'm saying that there will be mass migration from the north. There will be more migration because people don't want to. Many more
persons will
people
be
don't
moving.
Like the other day, somebody's son was shot. That child, they started shooting. He was hiding behind a mobile money kiosk, and he was caught by cross bullet. No people, no normal parent want to put his children in that situation.
Okay.
That's
in which case, no, Dr. Tata, are you there? Hello, doctor.
Yes, I'm here, my brother.
Yes, I don't know whether you got my question to you.
Not really, I didn't.
Yes, I asked that the situation, especially as painted by the teacher who is on the platform here, is not too rosy, especially for our two conflict-stricken regions of the Southwest and Northwest. And Mr. Tazi is saying that if the situation were not fixed on time, many more children are going to be moving this way.
I'm sorry, I didn't get you clearly. If you don't mind repeating the question.
I was presenting the picture as presented by Mr. Sama, who says that the numbers who took part in the examinations this year were not too good, especially for the remote areas. And Mr. Tazi is also raising the point that the war has to stop so that children can go to school. But if the war were to continue, many more children are going to be migrating from the southwest and northwest regions to either Yaoundé, Douala, or Bafoussam.
Yes, thank you. When we even bother too much about the numbers, because the numbers are predictable, as a matter of fact. If we probably started by looking at the numbers from our refugee figures, if we actually knew how many Cameroonians we had in the northwest and the southwest, and we do the mathematics with the numbers the statistics that we have that are out or as a result of the war, I think the numbers that we're having and the statistics that we're having and the results that we're having shouldn't take us by surprise. So, and if it's not, the situation is not ameliorating itself. As a matter of fact, the situation is even getting worse. So the results we're getting today is something that, or the results we're getting from this GCE results should not be surprising to us, because and this is one thing that we should always have in mind. You see, politics is a game of predictability, it's a game of prediction. Unfortunately, it looks as though our own understanding and doing of political game, we don't do in such a way that we can even predict tomorrow, and it's very sad. The war has come, and the war is where it is. But talking about the GCE and being surprised about the results of the GCE is something that would really be surprising even to any person who is listening to us, because it is very clear. Maybe we should be wondering, those children who even passed the GCE, how did they succeed? Maybe we want to learn from them to see how we can encourage others to copy their example, because I'm even surprised some children were able to make it, because these are exams that I have been through. And I remember what I went through in order to have some of these results that some of these children are having. And to be honest with you, these children have not had 1/8 or 1/10 of what I had when I was in school. So I'm wondering where they even got the results from. So that is even should be our worry. Where do the children who pass, how did they make it? Maybe if we know how they made it, we can help the others who didn't make it to copy the example of those who actually made it. I'm not worried about children who didn't make it, because we should be worried about what about those who are even going to drop out? Because every year, some don't even drop out because they fail the GCE. They drop out because the war meets them at home. So if we are not worried about people who abandon their homes, well, how can we be worried about people who fail exams? So it means people who fail exams actually have homes to leave. I think that with the results we have, it is just a subset of the results we should be reflecting on as one of our panels has actually, or our panels have actually eloquently talked about the war and its consequences, which we are still suffering. But one thing remains clear: it is our wish that our people come to reason. Both parties that are warring come to reason to the fact that we cannot build a Cameroon. There is no Cameroon without peace. There is nobody can pretend to tell us that, oh, you're going to kill all Cameroonians because you want peace. You don't want peace. You want something else. And it is that something else that we don't understand yet. Because there is no Cameroonian who is going to aim another Cameroonian with a gun and turn around and tell us that he wants peace. It's a lie. We want peace in this country. Those who want peace don't carry guns. Those who want peace advocate for peace. They speak peace. Those who want peace stand up and talk about peace. Nobody is going to talk about destroying his brother or destroying his sister and turn around and say he's doing it for the sake of peace. It's a lie. So progressively, we're going to begin to call those people by their names. And it is important that even if you're going to gun me, I'm going to look at you deep into your eyes and you put a bullet in my forehead. But the truth about the whole thing is that we live in a country of peace. You see, Cameroon has been known across the world as a country. Cameroonians are very patient, very, very tolerant. Cameroonians have tolerated a lot for a very long time. So I think that it is one of the resources that we have in this country. And I think we should be able to consider that and see how we can be able to put that together and view value as Cameroon. So all this war is really not necessary. And our children, what are we even going to do? We should be bothered about what are we even going to do with those who pass? Where are we going to keep them? Are we going to take them and add to the population that is unemployed outside? I think we should really be bothered, because you see, when a child fails the GCE, the child commits suicide. When the child passes the GCE and has no job, the child is still going to commit another suicide. So what are we going to do with the children who succeed and the children who fail? Are we going to give them the same results?
Okay, Doctor, we'll be getting back to you. You had something to say, Mr. Sama? Yeah?
Yes, I was looking at the perspectives for next year.
Next year, yeah.
And before I get into that, we appreciate some stakeholders who, by my judgment, are responsible for the results that we are appreciating today. I think that the teachers and the students and the candidates for their resilience. Dr. Nick doesn't live in Boya, but he has a perfect picture of the situation on the ground, where teachers have to disguise like market women or like maybe farm workers to like move from Bomaka for you to move to Moliko and teach, and they go back. Children have to hide their books at the security post and then stroll home empty-handed. And so you like ask yourself, when they go home empty-handed, when do they do their homework? When do they do individual studies? When their books are all in school? So it's I should say it's we need to appreciate them for their resilience, for the teachers and the students. And I should also appreciate the GCE board. I think for this year we didn't have the rampant cases of examination leakages as we used to have in the past couple of years. The board was able to organize some credible exams by putting in place strategies that actually minimize opportunities for leakages. I think I should commend the authorities of the board for that. Though we are saying that the numbers as per this year were low, but they were higher compared to last year and 2019. And that is where I want to thank the Amber Boys in some areas of the Northwest and the Southwest, who turned a blind eye to the fact that there was school going on in some places. The numbers in Bamenda increased drastically, and there were schools that people asked, but is it not the same Bamenda that they said there was no school? Because people changed it to the phenomenon of community schools, and they said they were running community schools. Let me tell you a situation where a principal goes to a community and he is met by Amber Boys and they place their conditions. We don't want the flag here, we don't want the national anthem, and we don't teach French. And the principal is forced to do with those conditions and manage with the few teachers who are there and the few students who can brave the odds and come to be able to have whatever he has as percentage pass. There are areas where the boys have allowed that there should be some form of community education. And that is where I now come in to call on them more. Can those in Muyenge copy the examples of those in Bamenda? Can those in Ekata, because the entire Moyoka subdivision, there was no candidate. The entire subdivision of Moyoka which comes right up to Ekona, to Bafia, Ekata, Munyenge, and all of those places. No candidate. A large subdivision with about 23 villages. No candidate. And so we are saying that there are places in the northwest and the southwest where the Amber Boys have allowed that there should be some form of community education, and they turned and they like allow things function, though not really optimum, but they have allowed some form of schooling to go on. That is what we are saying. I take the pains to explain to them, to those that I have the opportunity to talk with, either their supporters. An independent Ambazonia will need an educated class, and if we continue in this way, by the time that independence comes, if at all it comes, we would be in a difficult situation of a high rate of an illiterate class.
Okay, even if the education economy in West Cameroon has dropped recently, the legacy that West Cameroon has kept in the domain of education will never go away. When things will come back normally, you will see all the children who are over there in East Cameroon rushing back to West Cameroon. Prince is writing from Bamenda. Mr. Liu, what's happening? None of you is making sense today. I don't know what sense you want us to say, but I don't know what sense you want us to make. But many persons say what what's his name, Prince is saying, that once the war is over, we're going to rebuild, you said that. Yes. But we have seen countries that have plunged into war. It's been difficult to rebuild. Take the DRC. How many years? Look at how they're been. South Sudan.
Even look at Syria alone.
We may take another 40 years, and the same persons who think that things will just happen overnight.
Transition will be so smooth.
Yeah, you find yourself that you get old without even. Yeah.
They will need a very intelligent and technical leader like the Singaporean leader to raise the economy back. It's not empty mouth. If we were in the midst of no war, people borrow money and cannot raise the country. Is it a little they built that was broken down that they will raise up? We should stop this drama on television that things are going to be reconstructed. What did they construct first?
I think the scenario that will be coming would be different, will be completely different from what you've known, because the old is going to go away and the new will come. By the
people
new,
come from angels who fall from heaven.
Cameroon has the capacity. It's just that we have been locked in this box. But I'm telling you that in 6 months. We are mentally coming out of this box in 6 months, by God's grace. And we are suffering because as a people we want to suffer. If the government wanted this thing to stop today, it will stop. And I'm hoping that we'll get to that point where we say, all of this thing is not right. Technically, all these problems would have been sorted out if the major national dialogue, which was supposed to be a solution to these problems, had faced the truth. So we are now suffering because there was an absence of truth in the major national dialogue. And until we go to that truth and we handle the truth, we can have the dialogue, we can have 10 dialogues, but if truth is absent, nothing will happen. But as soon as you put truth, love and respect on the table, everything will fall in place.
How easy is it to reconstruct?
First, when we are talking about reconstruction, we are not talking about this thing that they're running around trying to build schools in the midst of war or whatever. That's not. You start first by reconstructing the human person.
Yeah, but that's a process.
Yes, no. The process is reconstruct the emotions of the human person by first, number one, you say I'm sorry to each other, and then you say so, and you really mean it, and you say so with respect. You don't underlook someone. No one is an underdog or something like that. And once you begin to have this emotional intelligence and begin to solve in that way and begin to say, I actually understand what you are saying, then you create an emotional environment in which things begin to happen. But if you keep on with this attitude where you go around still kicking people in their bellies and thinking that you force, That's the word. Force never solves a problem. There's another force that is stronger than this other kind of force we're using. Is the force of love. Is the force of respect. Is the force of knowing exactly what you are doing.
Does it?
The force of truth. Once we get to that point, a lot of things will fall in place. But as long as what all these things we are beating around the bush go up, come down, if truth is absent, if love is absent, if respect is absent, nothing will work.
Which means that the 6 months deadline you are giving,
no, you just have to
work.
No. It's a point. We come to a point where we say we want truth.
Yeah, but why go to force it down the truth of?
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
God's time is the best. When you come to that point where you say this is what we are supposed to do, and truth has to be on the table, love has to be, and respect, 1 month is too much.
Okay. Many persons have written that no problem, we can destroy, we can stay at home. Once the problem is solved, we're going to reconstruct. I don't know what example we can use in the war to show where a war ended and there was complete reconstruction. Sierra Leone, Liberia, all of them are there.
Let's not go to Sierra Leone. Let's not go to Liberia. Let's not go. What was Cameroon before the war started? I want us to go back. I don't like us beating around the bush. We had projects in this country that before the war ever came into existence, they were never done. Then the ones that we struggled to construct, we destroyed. Where was the money we needed to construct or we could not construct, or we destroyed even the ones we constructed? We sang autoroute in this country when there was no war. Autoroute is yet to be constructed. We sang the Mundemba, the Kondotiti stretch for years before the war started. We sang Bamenda Ring Road for years before the war started. We have sang Reference Hospital in Bamenda, sang it in Buya before the war ever started. There are roads around the north that we spoke about. They were never constructed. No war was there. Then you are telling me now that the war has come. The little we gathered has been brought down. CDC was functioning. PAMO was functioning. We could not tie Mondemba Road, where they were passing to go and carry the oil from Pamol. Master, what are we talking here now? All this reconstruction thing we are talking, reconstruction, is not going to happen as a flash of light. It's drama. A condo titi that has Pamol, that generates income. The road wasn't tied because there was no war. Then you are telling me that now war has come and scattered buildings. Are they going to take the money to tie the economy to go and build the schools that were burned down, or they're going to tie the roads? This is reconstruction we are talking. And in the midst of the crisis, people were sick of COVID-19. Money was borrowed. Individuals swallowed the money. Then you are telling me that is this some money we are going to borrow again to go and start reconstructing CDC? That is 318 billion worth. 117 million worth capital on a 42 hectares of land with almost 22,000 workers who have nowhere to stay. Are you telling me that we are going to conjure the CDC? Are you telling me that this PAMO, that you should be another source of income in this country? The road could not be tied when there was no war. Then after war has gone down, they are going to tie the roads? Are you telling me that the ring road was promised in 1985? We are in 2021. Money will error from somewhere. Is that money in some hole, or Cameroon has had its own central bank? Do we have a stock exchange that the individuals of the country can generate their own income? Or do we have a central bank in this country that we are going to take that money from it and then start working? Where will this money come from? When even the little resources we have on ground that have been crushed. Let us, I don't believe in makeshift ideas. Yes, it looks like a temporary building that will not last.
We are talking about perspectives. What if, because the wish for Dr. Nick is that in the next 6 months things should get back to normalcy, so that we can keep our children in the southwest and northwest regions to go to school, and then get some of these schools that are not functional to get functional, and stop the capital flight this way. What if after 6 months, 1, 2 years, nothing happens?
Mr.
What perspective?
You know, Dr. Nick has been talking about reconstruction. I was wondering what this man was thinking. But he just said something. He said you start with reconstruction of the mind.
Yes.
I thought that he was thinking that we started the construction of the broken down schools.
No, but many persons, many persons are writing. They say that once the war will end, all of this, everything is going to be reconstructed.
Let me tell you, it will not work like magic. One, it will be done by Cameroonians. It has to be done by strategic leadership. Cameroon has money. Yes, it is true. Apostle, we have lost money, but we still have. If we consider today that everything is gone, and we decide that our leadership decide that today now want to be strategic, want to sit down and do level-headed planning, respect one another. We come together. We take the ideas of people and put them together. We can still build Cameroon as if nothing had happened. The problem is that there's disrespect. There's no love. There's a feeling by certain people that they know everything and it is only what they say that matter. Okay? And no matter how good your idea is, your idea. So if you come to the level of realize that everybody, that we have made mistakes, we are human beings, that we have made mistakes. You sit down, I call my brother, I say, brother, look, I'm sorry, I did this thing, it is wrong. I have made my own mistakes. You've made your own mistakes. Our people are dying. What can we do? We do that. We put together a strategic government vision. We put Cameroon can be reconstructed in 5 years. Like if we start with human reconstruction in 5 years. Come on, Mr. Lo, I'm telling you, you may say that it's taken long, but it's taken Kagame 23 years. Okay, Rwanda today, their situation was maybe worse than ours. They produce mobile phones. 100% Rwandese mobile phones. I mean, the motherboard, they don't import and assemble everything. You go to Rwanda, it is like you are not in Africa. This is what I mean by strategic. When the will is there. And let me tell you one thing. I'm privileged by God's grace to have traveled around the world. Cameroonians are very, very intelligent people. You are general. I give you an assignment. Look at the developmental agencies of the United Nations. There are a lot of Cameroonians heading those agencies, making things happen in other places. If Cameroon can put together the human resources of Cameroonians out there and those in Cameroon, we can do a lot of things. Okay. But we have to realize that reconstruction that he's talking about, at least it started from him, is not to go back to Moyoka, Moyange and start building the school that was went down. Is to start by respecting human beings. Start by saying, I'm sorry, and you are sorry. I've made a mistake, you've made a mistake. Let's fix this thing. Then we sit down together and say, okay, this is, what can we do? I mentioned something about Japan. Nagasaki has Hiroshima after 1945 destroyed Japan. But they came out stronger than they were before. And this should be our vision. But let me tell you, we cannot, what Apostle Ambe is saying, if we don't do that, then this money that we have lost is going to only make the situation worse. It is only strategic leadership. I don't think that money is a problem, in my opinion.
Mr. Tazi, let me add to what you said here.
Yes.
Japan was reconstructed because America repented of the act and supported Japan. And I'm yet to see the country that want to support Cameroon. No. We are entering more into debt.
Mr. Apostle Ambe, the Japanese wanted to develop. If America gave them that money and they did not use it to reconstruct, to build their country, they will not have developed.
That's what I'm telling you now.
So what I'm saying is that it has to start
the same thing
with the construction of the mind and the willingness to develop Cameroon. But that's strategic leadership.
That's exactly what it is. That what is available, if it were handed to the same people with the same mentality, they would rather invest in. But we are talking about the perspectives here. What if the situation, because all of us are hoping that things get back to normalcy as soon as possible. He is predicting 6 months. I don't know when you expect things to get back to normalcy. No, but let's assume that the situation were not fixed in the next 1 year. At least we are still going to have higher figures in the next GCE.
Leo, I have cautioned a good number of friends and acquaintances. Anybody who is expecting Cameroon returning to pre-2016 is living in another world.
Yes, it's an illusion.
The crisis, which has now metamorphosed into a war, will stay with us for much longer. And that is why, before we came on set, I was having a chat with Lasha that whatever projects you have, you will be a madman to sit now and say, when the war is over, before I will execute. Just keep moving, because it has come to stay. And so we cannot keep education on hold that until things get back to normalcy. With kidnapping, that is now, brisk business, not Amber related, criminals. With extortion, which is a stock in trade now for, permit me say it, and I take responsibility for our men in uniform who extort, and it is good business for them. A soldier who was not my friend, but we were sharing the same table, and maybe out of stupor, said, any uniform officer in the northwest and the southwest who does not construct a house now will never construct again. Which ties in line with what somebody commented,
yes,
that they are making business. And so if we expect, or we are dreaming of a return to pre-2016, then we are not in this world. That is why I keep saying, I encourage the Amber generals who are in charge. People leave Douala, they drive to Moyoka, they take the dangerous route to to Munyenge, and buy cocoa and come back. Cocoa dealers have not stopped going to the cocoa zones. They go there and they buy.
Business supply.
They know what they do. You settled the general in Munyenge. You settled the one in Ekata. You settled the one in Owe. Settled the one in Moyoka. And you settled the military as you meet them on the way.
So you know all the generals there.
I don't know them, but I'm telling you that is business. When you talk with the people who go to the bushes, they tell you that they settle. Because if you don't settle, you will not buy.
Of course.
And even if you settle there and you buy and you don't settle, the people in uniform, you will also pass. It is business, Leo. If we can do that for our businesses, our cocoa businesses, why can't we also do the same concessions for education?
Yeah.
That is where I come in, Leo. We are looking at possibilities of improving these statistics come 2022. That is why I brought in this anecdote of a school head who negotiated, who told the lines. Not that he paid, he told the lines and respected the instructions given to him by the boys. We are saying that those instructions that are harmless to the state, because it is the interest of the state too. It is the supreme interest of the state that many more children should go to school.
Yes, but I don't know what you mean by that. Is you pay our boys to go to school?
Not pay them.
No, you say negotiated.
No. There are terms that they give you. There are terms that they give you. They give you terms. They give you terms. We don't want this. We don't want uniform. What is in the uniform that you think a child must put on a uniform before going to school? And if they talk of the fact that we don't want to see them in uniform, let them go in a certain and study. Well, again, perspective to improve the situation.
What you are saying is that people should negotiate to get better numbers in schools, in our schools. Is that what you are saying?
Negotiate. It depends on your definition of the word negotiation.
Why can't we?
It depends on your own definition of that word.
Why can't we call on those who are calling the shots? Because you said there are no people who are calling the shots. There are people definitely who are calling the shots here.
They have been calling now.
Yes, there are people who are calling the shots. Yeah.
I mean, let's be very clear about this, because we keep beating around the bush. It is the responsibility. It is the responsibility of the government to stop this war. It is the responsibility of the government to stop this war now and today. And therefore, if it is dragging in for 1 month, if it's dragging on for 1 month, for 2 years and so on, is the inability of the government to come up with the right strategies and do what is right, what is just, and what is good and true. Let us just do the right thing and get this rubbish off the table.
Let me cue you. If you were in the position of the head of state, what would you do?
If I were in the position of the head of state, wow, the war will stop tomorrow.
Yes, how?
Number one, I will talk to the whole nation and bring all our shortcomings on the table. And I will fall from my high horse and then talk to my people, like I talk to my wife and my children in the house. I mean, there's nothing to eat. And then let the people who are hurt, talk with them directly. Talk with them directly. They're your children, they're your people. They are not as evil as you think. And then you now come with a strategy where you actually dialogue. First, you must talk to the people and say, look, enough is enough. Let us stop this nonsense. And it is that emotional energy. It is that emotional energy and that wisdom that you bring into the thing. The whole thing has gone so bad because the president would be sending some people, can you solve this problem? But because of the war economy, there are some, because of the war economy, some people use a kind of language that irritates people and then add petrol to the fire.
Okay,
you need to change that thing.
I want us to talk about the perspectives for the GCE. Please. Yeah.
No, excuse me, Leo. Please, just 2 minutes. You seem to have gotten me wrong. I come from Batibo subdivision, and there is a military base in Ambo. There are military camps in Batibo. There are Amba boys in Batibo. For the past 2 years or so, I have not gotten reports from the village that there was a confrontation between Amba and military. Good enough. Good. But we hear of confrontations amongst Amba, or extortion, military, civilian, Amba, civilian. There is some entang that things just stay the way they are. Is it wrong for us to do such an entang so that children go to school? That is why I said your definition of negotiation may not be the same as mine. But I'm talking of a situation where, for the sake of, we are talking about perspectives of improving GCE situation next year. We are saying that whatever can be done by communities, let the communities take it into their hands and say, it is our thing now, and let us talk with those concerned that let our children go to school.
Yes.
That we are the key stakeholders here. Let our children go to school. Whatever negotiation we have with you, we are not talking about sponsoring them or giving them money.
I want to hang on what Dr. said. Let us find out from the children who succeeded this year under such circumstance. What did they do to succeed under this critical circumstance? Then from there we can be able to queue behind them and strategize on how to make the next year better.
Schools are starting on the 6th, eh?
Yes.
Tentatively.
Now, how many children succeeded in this restive region? What was their strategy? Is it the e-learning? Was it private classes? Is it the intelligent quotient, the IQ? Or was it some secret classes that they held? If we find out what they did to succeed, we can apply it as a generic rule for all other children who were able to survive, because in every shipwreck, someone survives. What did the person do to survive? Did he swim? Did he have a tube? Did he have a life jacket? If the person could survive that situation, then we can queue behind him and cause the rest of the persons to survive. So what did the children who succeed? Because I don't think everybody who passed the exam has the same IQ. But it is certain that the conditions which they found themselves must have caused them to problem, because somebody can be intelligent, but the environmental situation does not permit you to study very well.
Yeah, so that is the panacea you are presenting.
Of course.
Yeah, because we may want the war to end and the war will not be end. Like he says that we should rather adapt to survive in it.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to ask for a minute to say something about the e-learning. That I think is someone who mentioned the e-learning, and to say that we might have the good intentions and so on, but that thing is not working. I have a school, and then the children have computers, they have everything, and we're in Douala, and the bloody thing doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Number one, because internet is. You all have your own on WhatsApp and so on, and you know that bloody internet is not working. And then number two, it's very very expensive. It's very, very expensive, and it's not working. It's not really available. It's expensive. So there is some.
Also?
Yeah. Sorry.
Electricity.
And electricity also. So there are a couple of things that stop it from working. We used to run a class of about 100, and when every children were very excited, but you hardly had up to 27 people connecting. So it was more of just those emotions of things and so on. But that thing died down really because, you know, we talk about it, but it's not effective. And then what the Ministry of Secondary Education was doing, they were delivering some classes by television. That's very primitive. So,
no,
that's not effective.
No, let me come.
No. Let me talk now.
Of 2 minutes this time.
We have a second topic.
Yes. Yes. I just want to like correct something, sir. Dr. Nick got it wrong. What the ministry did, my ministry, was to do model lessons and upload them on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
And those lessons are for every subject, both for the English system and the
was the network good on YouTube?
Well, but we might not get to everybody as we would have loved to, but those who have the ability, those who have the means, we encourage them to use it.
So education will not have means.
So that the numbers. So that next year 2020 the numbers will improve.
Education will also have means now.
When we are talking about online something,
if you can't get all,
we should consider the internet penetration in Cameroon, which is not more than 20%.
Very poor.
Cameroon,
yeah. I mean, I might be sounding very rude and aggressive in the way I'm saying it. I'm trying to. I don't want to be pampering ourselves and we are hiding. I'm trying to bring out those things, they're great ideas, and to tell us why they are not working.
Yeah.
So that the government should do something about it. The government should do something about the availability of internet. And then, you know, I think it's Carlos. I was telling you the other day about the white space technology. Why don't we develop white space in Cameroon technology so that, you know, we can deliver material to our children everywhere and very cheaply?
Okay, yeah. You've been listening for long.
Yeah, I've been listening for long, you know. I've been listening for long. And we have wonderful ideas coming up.
We are looking at perspectives.
Something is running on my mind that I wish that people could listen to some of these things and implement them. Because, from what Mr. Sama said, this war may still be around, contrary to Dr. Nick. This war may still be around. It is our wish that finishes in 4 6 months, but it may still be around for a while. So we have to look for ways to live with it until things become normal. Yeah, and so as we are saying, my suggestion is that one thing that could work very much is the e-learning. It's a wonderful idea, but as Dr. Nick said, the power is not there, the internet is poor. I mean, then the average income per family, people in Batibo, in Manfe, in Lebialem, in Mondemba, how many people there can actually get a smartphone and pay for internet to connect and study online? How many children? We were talking about children whose parents could not even move them out of there, because at least the average families have moved their children out. Those very poor ones that could not move, they could not relocate. We now expect them to go buy credit, connect, and then study online. So that's why I was saying that my opinion is that the best cut is that we get this problem solved, because no matter how we go around, it is true, I agree with him, we should be living along while we're trying to, but no matter how we go around, the status quo will hardly restore our status, the Anglophone system of education status in the GCE and in other domains as it was in the midst of this war.
Okay, Dr. Tata, we are looking at the perspectives. It's not there. Okay, if it's not there, then I wanted us to look at what is happening, because almost everybody is establishing here that those who have the means have moved their children this way. The children are going to school and are progressing. Are we also observing a widening gap between the have and the have-nots? Yes. Because all those who are poor, the children are stuck in either they have gone to Nigeria, they are stuck in the southwest in
villages.
Yes, and the opportunities that are going to come in the years, they will remain poor.
Oof.
It's unfair.
That's a bomb.
Yes, the truth is that education is
That's a bomb.
education is a fundamental right of every child, and the way the international body has presented education, it is for everybody to have access. That's the reason why our government schools are not too expensive. From university right down to secondary and primary schools, they are not expensive. Some schools you pay only PTA. Now, with these government schools that are not functional in most areas of the country, education has now finally landed on the rich. It looks like education is for the rich in the country. The poor man has no right to go to school anymore. The poor have no access to education, which is very, very poor because of the crisis. Some persons, because of this crisis, have flown their children to the United States. That's a class of the aristocratic class of the country. Now, the middle class have transported their children to the French-speaking part of the country where there is peace and serenity. The poor man who has nothing to do or have money to transport their children, what happens to that poor man in that village who taps palm wine to pay the child's school fees, who mills oil in that village in Batibo, in Ambo, to do pay the children's school fees, who farms granite or beans or corn in Jakiri, in Kumbu, in Kikaikilaiki, in Ver, to do this business and to pay their children's fees? The children are there. Number one. Number two, the children are exposed in between the crossfire between the state, the non-state armed forces and the military. They are also endangered. Three, most of them will become pregnant because sometimes when education occupies you, you have a focus and a dream. When they become idle, the girl child becomes loose in the society, and some of them are slept. Even situations of poor being raped there. Some girls are pregnant without even the person who impregnated them. So if we look at it critically from every strata, the poor man is the one caught in the crossfire. The poor man is the one suffering. My children are in this part of the country. They are not suffering. They go to school. Now, I'm not sitting here because I'm a victim. I'm sitting here because I have a burden for the country. And as a Cameroonian, I must speak on behalf of every Cameroonian, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this is the reason why we have to press charges till this war comes to an end, because the common man is the one that is suffering. There are persons in Nigeria, there are others in America, there are others in French Cameroon. The man who lives in that village there, whose father used to sweat, and you and I know that our parents did very menial jobs to send us to school. It is so funny that the generation that we are were raised from palm fruits, palm wine, from groundnuts in farms, but we have grown to become accountant, doctor. We cannot even raise children that resemble us. What is wrong? Something is wrong with the society. So let us get back to talk about the common man. Let's not sit here. We are comfortable in Douala, comfortable in Yaoundé, comfortable in Sam, and then the poor man that is somewhere there in Jikwa. What happens to him? What happens to the education there? There's no light there. We have added Menvele, we have added Lompanga, and energy is not still enough.
It's the price to pay for war, but that price is only is borne
by the poor.
Yeah.
By the poor. Why?
It's unfair.
Okay, I want to ask, when did education become an issue of the rich? When? Where women sow granules in Bamenda and beans and send children to school for 17,000 for school fees. When did education become a business of the rich? The poor man is suffering.
Yeah.
Mr. Leo, we are sitting on a time bomb. Let me tell you something. I've lived in Boya since the beginning of this crisis, and I've observed something. You are a journalist. Get down to Boya, get children of less than 5 years, drive them in your car. Before you drive for the next 5 minutes, you meet a military truck. Provoke them into a conversation and listen to their mentality. I'm talking about young Anglophone children in Boya. Listen to what they say. This generation of 5 years downward, they are growing with hatred for the military. Whether believe me or not, Anglophones are telling their children why they are not going to school on Monday. They are telling their children why they pack them into bags and My-17, abandon their mattresses and run away. They are telling their children. Look at the children in Nigeria, in refugee camps in Nigeria. They are not going to come back. If we don't solve this problem and bring them back, and they grow like normal Cameroonians, if they feel cheated, they will come back like warriors. That is the danger of that common child that has been abandoned in the village. We think that we have money, we have moved our children, we think that they are not done, they are growing. If we don't solve this problem and it turns 15 years, if it turns 15 years, those children grab the gun. It will not be good for us. So we better solve this problem, bring them back, and we grow them under our canopy so that...
The common notion is I better keep my child and let the child not go to school.
Then he died. Yes.
Yeah,
so we need to get these children back, and they grow under normal situations.
There's going to be another rift between those who have not gone to school and you who went to school for no good reason. The target is not just going to be the government.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. It's a very unfortunate situation, and what my brother was saying here is true. You know, if you build your house, in a rough environment and then you erect a very high wall is no use. And I still want to call the attention of most people to the presentation of, the physical presentation of Madiba. What's his name? Other name again? Nelson Mandela. There was something about him that struck me when he went to the United Nations. Everyone else was in a coat and a tie like I am, but he wore one of these free shirts and everybody was like, hail, 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 hail. You know, I could see somebody who was l'été dans sa peau, you know, I mean, he's himself. He's himself. And he's just in a shirt, but there's something about him that is so big that all those people who are in coat and tie could not make up for. That is, he was at ease with himself. We have to get to a place where we listen to people like Madiba, because he spoke Ubuntu, spoke a lot of things and so on, and try to get that philosophy of his and then apply it to our people. Make sure that we respect everybody. Don't try as much as possible to reduce this gap between the rich and the poor. Is very, very important. So if you are rich today, because I know some people who want to buy bulletproof cars and so on. No, that's not the solution. The solution is love. If you can, you know, like most of these ministers, when they go out there, they say, oh no, there's no problem, there's peace and so on. Yet they are driving in an armored car. That's a lie. There is peace. If you can go up to Bamenda and you are a minister, you are saying that there's peace, and then you and your driver and probably your bodyguard, so that he can pick granules for you on the way, and you drive through those roads, then we will know there's peace. But if you cannot do that, we need to come to a place where we all feel at ease.
Leo, I want to appreciate Mr. Tazi for what he said. 10-15 years from now, it will be the war between the left out and those who made it, because those who have been left out now by this education train would eventually come back for our children.
Yeah, because it is
they will come back for our children.
Yeah, some persons,
and that is
some persons may be in the United States and are sending their children to school, hoping that in the next 15 years, when the war is...
Leo, don't even talk about the United States. Those of us in the metropolises where our children are going to school, even if this war ends now or in the next 10 years, it will be difficult for your children to go back home and face their cousins who did not have that opportunity. Of course. So it is going to be difficult. And that is why on this platform, that's what we are trying to mitigate. By urging, by encouraging, communities should take it into their hands and negotiate with those who matter in their various communities, so that there is some form of schooling against next year. Leo, I want to talk to my minister, Professor Nalova Lyonga Pauline. You took a politically correct decision to ban Saturday and Sunday classes in the Northwest, nationwide, but specifically in the Northwest and the Southwest, because to you, it was giving credence to the fact that people don't go to school on Monday and they now shift it to be able to teach on Saturdays. We do not teach on Mondays because it is not in our hands. The University of Buea for the past 5 years has never scheduled an exam on a Monday. All exams start from Tuesday to Saturday to the next Tuesday, because they are conversant with the institution and they are honest, because they know that there is nothing that will happen on Monday unless you want to put people's lives at risk. For the minister to give an ultimatum that there should be no classes on Saturday because you want to fight against Monday ghost towns. The students and the teachers are not
you made a point.
are not responsible for ghost towns. And so we are talking about perspectives. That as much as we can, we allow people improvise methods of teaching, even if they have to teach on Saturdays and Sundays, because Mondays it is not in our hands, Madam Minister.
Okay, Mr. Liu, let us look beyond the mafia behind this crisis. It's too difficult for us to understand, because some people, especially politicians and some big wigs with schools in other towns, know what is happening in the two regions. Okay, I wish Apostle Ambi can meet the boys in the bushes and talk to them, because at the end of the day, the poor people are the ones suffering. Okay. Greetings to you all in the studio, Mr. Liu. Dr. Ambe is saying something. Apostle Ambe, not Doctor, is saying something. And Bonjo, writing from Muyuka. Okay. Mr. Liu, I don't know when people talk of internet. Is there internet everywhere? Elizabeth Take not talk of Awelo IPP is not having internet in her village in the northwest region. Okay, that's Donga Mantung Division. Okay, good evening to all in the studio. Truly speaking, East Cameroon is gradually becoming fertile for our Anglo-Saxon system of education. We have lost and are still losing, just as Apostle Ambe have said. This is Peter writing from Bonaberry. Great job, Mr. Liu. Okay, I think the guy with the cap is being objective here. Dr. Dimla is writing from Bomenda. Good evening. One thing we should understand is that Francophones and Anglophones reason differently, hence consensus is difficult. Davidson is writing from Moyuka. Good evening, Mr. Leo. How I wish we could have Apostle Ambe in all televisions in Cameroon. He is a God-chosen one for this country. Tam for me is writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Let government give Anglophones a chance to build the regions. In 5 years, you will see magic. Stefan is writing from Bonaberry. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Dr. Nick may be living in a world of his own. Is proposing the government should dialogue with these kidnappers. That's out of the question. Even Apostle Ambe is strange today in his utterances. He is so pessimistic to be fatalistic. Because individuals swallow money in the past does not mean others cannot come up with who will do things differently. It is utterances that I'm hearing from your program that gives these kidnappers and terrorists courage to keep on doing what they have been doing for the past years. I thank the teacher on the panel who is bringing some senses into this debate. If you don't mind my saying it, this is the first time I'm zapping off your program. Che is writing from Bomenda. Okay, Che, yeah. Hi, sir. Good evening. Please, I wish to know the number of. I don't know. Okay, I'll end with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Just one word there.
Yes.
On the second topic, we don't have time for that. What perspectives you saw an extraordinary summit that was called by heads of state?
Oh yes, there is this CEMAC meeting that just ended. It was a Zoom kind of meeting between the heads of state, the CEMAC. It was a topic we were supposed to talk about at length today, but the GCE has come and has moved things up. And then, it's about economics, and we're saying that the war and the suffering and so on is because we've had very bad economics this time. And I'm calling on Cameroonians as a whole and people in CEMAC and Africa, please pay attention to economics. Pay attention to economics. We might as well have the political independence, but political independence is just a birth certificate. But making your economics to work. Economics means doing the right thing so that people can put money in their pockets. Doing the right thing so that people can have money to eat, have their homes and so on, and meet their needs. So the summit was about trying to make the economics work after this COVID-19 and all that happened. But of course, it cannot work if we continue to be so corrupt, if we don't even borrow money and we don't know what we are doing with it, which have to become very strategic. And I would say that I happen to learn a lot because my brother Shea Jones and Dr. Tanya, His Excellency Shea Jones is the Cameroon Commissioner for CEMAC, and then he's been doing a lot of great things. And one of the things that he's proposed, for instance, is that communication between all these countries should be local calls. That is, if you are sitting here in Cameroon and you want to call any of the CEMAC countries, it should be like a local call, not an international call. And another thing that has happened, a good example is like from Gabon. In Gabon, no log of wood is exported from Gabon. All the wood is treated in Gabon, even if it's just sewing them into planks. And that has generated 50,000 jobs for their youth down there and changed the economy of a lot. So we need to be doing things. We need to all sit up and begin to become industrial in our thinking and all these things. So it's about time that we all wake up and do something to change our education, our economics, and the way we solve problems. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening to all the panelists in the studio. With God, all things are possible. Saying that the war cannot end now is limiting God. Thanks, blessing is writing from Bonaberi. Good evening, Mr. Leo. God bless you. Umaru is writing from Banga Bakundu. Good evening, Mr. Leo and crew. In fact, many of these children are not going to school in the villages. Merciful is writing from Bambui. Hello, Mr. Leo. I disagree with Mr. Sama that in the near future, those who did not go to school will come and hunt those who go to school. Those who have the guns now, those who went to school throughout Cameroon, and when Cameroon had peace. Mofo Emmanuel is writing from Boya. This one says, a student writes GCE advanced level and pass. Yes, let's say he or she doesn't have finance to further education. What can such do as occupation for a living? Please, this question goes to the GCE board and government. Tomorrow we are going to be discussing about something similar to that. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Anik from Limbe. The GCE board did a great job this year because there were no exam leakages, though the O-level and A-level percentages reduced. But we are still grateful to God for the success to those who made it. Okay, Mr. Liu, let's speak the truth. Brandy is writing from Bamenda. Just tell the truth. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Allow the man with the cap to talk. He's correct. Vivian is writing from Munyenge. Mr. Liu, Cameroon is, if the issue of money out of reconstruction, only the top officials will divide it amongst themselves. Mr. Kevin is writing from Bafusa. Dr. Nid, you have said it all. The reason why our country is still suffering is because our leaders are hiding the truth. Okay, Cynthia is writing from Suza. Okay, we end at this juncture. I want to thank you, Dr. Nick, for coming.
Oh, thank you. It's really a pleasure, and I just hope that our youth will wake up. Tomorrow is another program. I don't know if I'll be here or not, but the most important thing about our education is that as you are progressing to the university, don't just follow your friends. Sit down and ask yourself, when I go to the university, what exactly am I studying, and how am I going to use that thing to put food on my plate? And remember that you are not going to be employed with a certificate or a subject or something like that. That time is gone. You must be able to solve problems, otherwise you are out.
Dear coordinator, I'm following your program with keen interest. I hear you talk about e-learning. It is not the best because there is no internet in Andek. Okay, Apostle Ambi, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. It's always a joy and a privilege to be here.
Okay, this one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Can you imagine I wrote the GCE and failed, but surprisingly, I'm very proud to fail. After all, I'm not different from he or she who passes and being dumped. Founded Apostle Ambe should be voted as the next head of state for a better Cameroon. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Leo. I would want to end by again reiterating my call to my minister to uplift the ban on Saturday and Sunday classes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tazi, for coming.
Mr. Leo, it's my pleasure, and I want to end by saying that our system of education has a very serious problem, and I think that you should hang on that in the future. And following what Dr. Neil is saying, if we have to go to school and come and put food on the table, something else has to be done. We've tried what we've had for the past years, and apparently the rate of unemployment is so high. We need to do something. We need to look around for those who have reduced it and find out how they have done it. So we have to do a lot on our system of education. So when people go to school, they should come out and be able to be independent and be able to feed themselves. That's my take for the day.
Success from Kribi says, good evening, Mr. Liu. For children to go to school is very easy. The voices in the bushes have refused that government schools should not function, so the community schools should make the fees very affordable for everybody. So who is running the community schools for who to mark and certify the exams? Ma Bison writing from Kumba says, oh, Mr. Leo, we are missing the program seriously. No lights here. Again, Donasian says, good evening, Mr. Kum Leonard. A school should resume immediately in Southern Cameroon's education is the gateway for economic development. Let there be light. Okay, good evening to you. Sumbele Kelvin says, good evening, Mr. Liu, and your cream of motivational speakers. Northwest and Southwest is losing while other regions are gaining. Despite the fact that a school a school needs creation and opening decision. Some schools are running in these regions without these decisions. Mr. Liu, schools that are created without an Anglophone section needs another decision to run as a bilingual school. But today, hundreds of schools in these other regions have turned to bilingual schools overnight. So many of principals that left Anglophone regions are running these schools comfortably with good salaries. Group of teachers from Anglophone regions have also taken over schools that were abandoned in Douala and other regions, has renovated them and turned to proprietors. Meanwhile, we have schools in the northwest and southwest whose doors have not closed for 5 years. Sumbele Kelvin writing from Konsamba. We want to thank the production team and all of you who took time off to watch the program. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.